What's going on, everyone? My name's Kevin and welcome back to the Post Route. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 overvalued running backs in 2020 as of the middle of June. So the first running back on my list is Marlon Mack. He had a pretty good season last year, but he's set to be a free agent after the year. After the Colts drafted Jonathan Taylor in the second round, it seems likely that Taylor will eventually take over the majority of snaps, as Mack will be on the free agent market. Head coach of the Colts, Frank Reich, has said, "With Jonathan into the mix, I really envision that it'll be Jonathan and Marlon really being that 1-2 punch." To me, this further indicates that the Colts do not see Mack being a part of the future of the Colts organization, and they really want Jonathan Taylor to take over along with Nyheim Hines. I personally think that Jonathan Taylor is a much better scheme fit for the Colts, as he's a much more explosive back, and he's a better pass catcher out the backfield. Newly acquired quarterback Phillip Rivers also targets the running back position on nearly 25% of his throws. I think this favors Taylor much more than Mack. Mack's current ADP is right around the middle of the 4th round. To me, it's not worth it to have a back that will most likely see his shares taken away throughout the season, especially if he's leaving in free agency that year. My next overvalued running back is Kerryon Johnson. I was a big fan of Kerryon heading into last year, as I thought he was going to thrive under Matt Patricia. Unfortunately, Kerryon had a very lackluster season, only getting 403 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Kerryon missed 8 games due to injury last season. Both his 2018 and 2019 seasons featured Kerryon suffering a serious knee injury. In the 2020 draft, the Lions selected the former Georgia Bulldog DeAndre Swift with the 35th overall pick. Swift is a much more dynamic running back than Johnson. Swift has much better hands than Kerryon and should take over the role of the main third down back in the offense. Similar to Mack, I think Kerryon will see his touches drop. Combine lower touches and back-to-back seasons featuring knee injuries, and I can't justify drafting him at his current ADP of the middle of the 5th round. At this position, I'd much rather have someone like David Johnson, who's going slightly behind Kerryon in drafts. The third running back on this list is Derrius Guice. Guice's career in the NFL up until this point has been decimated by injuries. In 2018, he suffered an ACL tear in the preseason, ending his season before it started. In 2019, Guice tore his meniscus in Week 1 and then came back later in the season, only to go down once again in Week 14 because of an MCL sprain. The Redskins in the 2020 NFL Draft also added running back / wide receiver Antonio Gibson with the 66th overall pick. To me, this pick tells fantasy owners that the new head coach, Ron Rivera, wants to recreate a Christian McCaffrey type back in his new offense. Guice could accomplish this, but the team may not be able to count on Guice due to his injury history. I love the talent of Guice when he's fully healthy, but with an ADP at the beginning of the 6th round, Guice is a risky pick. The next running back on the list is Damien Williams. Going into last year's 2019 draft, many owners selected Williams with their 2nd or 3rd round pick, only to be disappointed with extremely inconsistent fantasy play. Some weeks, Williams would look like a workhorse back, but others, he wouldn't even be worth a flex play. Williams had a strong postseason, in which he arguably should have won MVP for the Super Bowl. Inevitably, this might have pushed up his fantasy stock a bit, but I think the Chiefs' actions in the draft tell us what we all need to know. With the last pick of the 1st round in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs selected the former LSU running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. In my opinion, the Chiefs see Helaire as the final piece of their offensive puzzle and the perfect complement to Mahomes. When head coach Andy Reid looks at Helaire, he sees a lot of similarities to a former running back, Brian Westbrook. Williams will have a role in the offense, but I'd much rather have Helaire because of the passing upside he offers with Mahomes. With the current ADP at the beginning of the 7th round, I'd much rather have Helaire at a round earlier with running back 1 upside. The final running back on the list is Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones had a decent season last year, featuring 724 yards and 6 touchdowns. The snap percentage for Jones was 37.5%, which is lower than what I expected, especially with the competition he had at running back. In the draft, the Buccaneers selected running back Keyshawn Vaughn in the 3rd round. At Vanderbilt, Vaughn dealt with some really bad offensive line play, but still thrived. Per PlayerProfiler.com, Vaughn had a college dominator percentage of 40.4%. College dominator is determined by the player's total yards and touchdowns in college, and anything over 40% is considered excellent. As things stand now, Tampa Bay is still a passing offense, and Vaughn may be the running back that you would want to own. However, I'm not going to say that Vaughn is going to get more points than Jones. But at an ADP at the end of the 7th round, I'd much rather have Todd Gurley or Jonathan Taylor, who are also going around the same time in drafts. And that's the list. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with any of the players mentioned. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for listening, and take it easy.